Welcome back to Meteorology Matters, everyone. Today we're kind of issuing a storm warning,
Mm.
but a different kind.
Yeah.
One that's brewing within, the very agency that's responsible for keeping us all safe from the elements.
Yeah. We are diving deep into this whole potential impact
Right.
of, Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency,
Yeah.
or Musk's doggy, as we're going to call it on,
Oh.
well, NOAA, the agency that's behind, well, everything.
Right.
From your everyday weather forecast to those, really crucial hurricane warnings.
Okay, so before we get into it, for any of our listeners out there who aren't super familiar with NOAA,
Sure.
can you give us a quick rundown of why this agency is so vital?
Absolutely. So NOAA is like the backbone of our understanding of, weather and climate.
Right.
They're the ones that are collecting the data, crunching those numbers,
Right.
and ultimately providing the information that keeps us, informed and prepared for whatever Mother Nature throws our way. Without NOAA, we'd be flying blind, literally.
Wow, that really puts things into perspective.
Yeah.
And to think that this agency, it plays such a massive role in all of our lives,
Right.
is facing some serious challenges right now,
Yeah.
particularly from this Musk's doggy
Yeah.
and something called Project 2025.
Mm-hmm.
Can you shed some light on what those are all about?
Okay, so Musk's doggy, at its core, aims to slash government spending.
Right.
We're talking potentially billions of dollars.
Wow.
And Project 2025, which is like a blueprint
Oh, yeah?
from a group of, conservative thinkers,
Okay.
has NOAA, squarely in its crosshairs.
Mm.
They actually label the agency harmful
Wow.
and specifically call out its climate change research,
Mm.
advocate for a major downsizing, if not outright dismantling.
Hold on, harmful.
Yeah.
I'm struggling here. Why would anyone consider it an agency that's dedicated to, understanding our planet and keeping us all safe
Yeah.
from natural disasters to be harmful?
Mm.
What's the logic there?
I think it boils down to, this really fundamental difference
Right.
in perspective on the role of government and, the validity of climate science.
Mhm.
Some just see NOAA's climate research as a threat to certain industries
Right.
or a waste of taxpayer dollars.
Right.
They might even question, the entire science behind climate change.
So it sounds like there's a real clash of ideologies at play here.
Yeah.
And it's not just theoretical, right? This is actually spilling over into real-world actions. We've got these reports of Musk's doggy staffers, walking the halls of NOAA headquarters in Maryland and even the Department of Commerce in D.C.
Precisely. And what's really, setting off alarm bells are these reports
Okay.
that they're trying to,
Yeah.
gain access to NOAA's IT systems.
Mm.
And, if that's true,
Right.
that puts a treasure trove of sensitive data at risk.
Right.
Think about it. Everything from their weather prediction models to, decades of climate research.
Right.
It's all stored there.
That's a chilling thought. We rely on this information
Right.
for everything from planning, our weekend barbecues to preparing for major hurricanes.
Right.
A data breach or worse, the manipulation of that data
Right.
could have catastrophic
For
consequences.
sure.
So what are the specific concerns around data security here?
Well, I think the worst case scenario is a full-blown data breach, right?
Well,
Leading to the leak of sensitive research, potentially even, compromising national security.
Right.
But even without a breach, there's still the risk of the data being altered or deleted.
Right.
And that would disrupt those really critical services like, weather forecasting.
Right.
And hinder our ability to track and understand climate change.
It's like someone messing with the control panel of our planet's operating system.
Right.
And this isn't just about abstract data, is it?
No.
We're also hearing about this push to, erase DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion materials from NOAA's offices and websites.
Yeah.
It feels very symbolic, almost like sending a message.
Yeah, I think it's definitely sending a message, and not a good one. We're talking about taking down things like, posters about reporting sexual harassment.
Right.
Essentially silencing efforts to create a more inclusive and equitable workplace.
For anyone who might be thinking out there, okay, but what does removing some posters really matter? Can you explain what the potential impact on the staff at NOAA might be?
Okay, so imagine, you're a scientist at NOAA.
Right.
You're really dedicated to your work.
Right.
And you see these efforts to dismantle DEI initiatives.
Right.
I think it creates a chilling effect.
Right.
It sends the message that your voice, your experiences, your contributions, they're just not valued.
Right.
And this can be, particularly disheartening for those from marginalized groups who, historically have been underrepresented
Right.
in scientific fields.
Absolutely. It's like taking a step backward, erasing progress that's been hard fought. And then there's this curious case of Nikhil Rajpal. But before we go any further,
Sure.
I want to remind everyone that staying informed about weather and climate is more important now than ever.
Right.
So be sure to follow meteorologist Rob Jones on Instagram, meteorologist on TikTok, TV meteorologist, and on YouTube, follow Rob Jones Hurricane.
Yes. Rob provides amazing insights, especially in times like these when, the world of meteorology is facing such
Upheaving.
upheaval. Yeah.
Okay, back to Nikhil Rajpal. What's the story there?
So Rajpal is an engineer who's been brought in by Musk's DOGE.
Okay.
Now, his background is primarily in Tesla and Twitter, with no apparent experience in, the kind of work that NOAA does.
Right.
Yet he's been granted editing access to critical NOAA documents.
Really?
It's baffling, to say the least.
So wait, someone with no background in climate science or weather forecasting is now able to modify key documents at NOAA.
Yes.
It sounds like a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
It would be like letting someone who's never flown a plane take the controls of a 747.
Exactly. It raises serious concerns about, potential mismanagement,
Right.
a lack of understanding of the, complexities of the data and systems involved,
Right.
and frankly, a disregard for the expertise that NOAA scientists bring to the table.
It's almost as if they're deliberately sidelining the very people
Right.
who are best equipped to, understand and address these issues.
Yeah.
It's incredibly unsettling. And the hits just keep on coming, don't they?
Yeah.
Now we're hearing that the National Marine Fisheries Service,
Right.
which is a part of NOAA, has been ordered to completely halt all international engagements.
Yeah, this is a major red flag. Science, by its very nature, thrives on collaboration. Cutting off communication with foreign colleagues is like trying to solve a global puzzle while only looking at one piece.
Right.
It simply doesn't make sense.
So what could be the motivation behind such a drastic move?
It's difficult to say for certain, but it could be driven by, an America First mentality, a desire to, hoard information.
Right.
Or even a distrust of international scientific collaboration.
Right.
Whatever the reason, it's definitely a step in the wrong direction.
And as if all of this wasn't enough, we're now hearing these reports that NOAA is bracing for significant budget cuts and staff reductions. Is that right?
Yes, that's the word on the street.
And if these cuts actually materialize, the consequences could be devastating.
Right.
We're talking about reduced accuracy of weather forecasts, slower response times to extreme weather events, and a significant setback in our understanding of climate change. It's a recipe for a perfect storm, but not the kind that meteorologists usually talk about.
Right.
It's like they're deliberately dismantling the very agency responsible for protecting us from the forces of nature.
Yeah.
It's a deeply concerning situation, and we're just getting started.
Indeed, we've only just scratched the surface of this whole complex and evolving story.
And to add another layer of complexity to all of this, we have the recent appointment of Neil Jacobs to lead NOAA.
Ah, Neil Jacobs. Now, he's a figure who might ring a bell for some listeners out there.
Right. He was involved in that infamous Sharpiegate incident where he defended President Trump's alteration of a hurricane map.
Yeah.
It was a pretty controversial moment.
It was.
And it really put the spotlight on the politicization of science.
Exactly. That incident raised serious questions about his, commitment to scientific integrity.
Right.
And his willingness to stand up to political pressure.
Right.
So his appointment to lead NOAA has, understandably, raised eyebrows.
Right.
And fueled concerns about the agency's future direction.
It's a lot to take in, and it all feels very precarious.
Yeah.
So before we delve further into the implications of all this, let's take a moment to really understand what's at stake here.
Okay. What's, particularly fascinating about all this is that, it's not an isolated incident.
Right.
It reflects a broader trend of, political interference in science, a trend that's been gaining momentum for years now.
You're right. I mean, we've seen similar attempts
Yeah.
to discredit climate science.
Right.
And to, muzzle environmental research across a whole bunch of different government agencies.
Yeah.
It's a pattern that's hard to ignore.
Exactly. And this raises a really crucial question.
All right.
what are the long-term consequences of undermining these scientific institutions like NOAA?
Right.
These agencies, they aren't just, ivory towers filled with academics.
Right.
They provide like vital information that informs public policy, protects, our health and our safety, and helps us understand this planet we live on.
It's funny you say that. I was reading this article about how NOAA's data is used for everything.
Right.
From like tracking the spread of wildfires to predicting the migration patterns of endangered species.
Wow.
It's truly remarkable how far-reaching their impact is.
It is, and that's precisely why these attempts to dismantle it are so concerning.
Right.
Imagine, a scenario where a hurricane is barreling towards the coast.
Right.
But the agency that's, responsible for issuing warnings and coordinating disaster relief is, crippled by budget cuts and a lack of expertise.
It's a terrifying thought.
It really is. And it goes beyond just hurricanes, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about like our ability to prepare for and respond to all sorts of natural disasters.
Right.
From floods and tornadoes to droughts and wildfires.
Precisely. Weakening NOAA weakens our nation's resilience in the face of these growing threats.
Yeah. It makes you wonder, is this really about efficiency, like what Musk's doggy claims?
Right.
Or is it more about, pushing a specific agenda, one that prioritizes short-term economic gains over, long-term environmental sustainability and public safety?
It's hard not to see it that way, especially when you consider that, they're deliberately targeting DEI initiatives.
Yeah.
It feels like a calculated move to silence certain voices and perspectives within NOAA.
It is a move that raises serious concerns about, the future direction of the agency.
Right.
I mean, science flourishes when there's a diversity of thought,
Right.
When people from different backgrounds and with different experiences all come together to tackle these really complex problems.
Right.
Silencing those voices only serves to stifle innovation and limit, our understanding of this world around us.
It feels like we're witnessing a deliberate dismantling
Yeah.
of expertise and experience within NOAA.
Right.
And that's a dangerous game to play when it comes to something as crucial as, understanding and predicting our planet's behavior.
You're absolutely right. It's like they're trying to replace years of meticulous scientific research and data analysis with ideology and political maneuvering.
So what can we, as citizens who rely on NOAA's work, do about all of this? I mean, it feels overwhelming, like shouting into a void.
I mean, it's totally understandable to feel that way, but we can't let that feeling paralyze us. Silence is complicity. We need to make our voices heard, and there are several ways that we can do that.
Okay, give us some concrete steps that we could take.
So first and foremost, we have to stay informed.
Okay.
Don't just rely on the headlines or social media snippets.
Right.
We have to dig deeper, read articles from reputable sources, follow experts like Rob Jones, who are breaking down these complex issues in a way that's accessible.
Right.
The more we understand, the better equipped we are to advocate for change.
That's such a crucial point, Knowledge is power.
It is.
And in this case, it's power against misinformation.
Exactly.
And, potentially disastrous policy decisions.
Right.
So what else can we do?
Engage with your elected officials.
Okay.
Call their offices, write emails, attend, town hall meetings.
Yeah.
Let them know that you care about NOAA, that you value scientific integrity, and that you oppose these attempts to undermine this vital agency.
It's about making sure that our representatives understand that this isn't just some abstract political debate.
Right.
This is about real-world consequences for real people.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the power of collective action.
Okay.
Support organizations that are fighting for science, for climate action, for environmental justice.
Right.
There's strength in numbers, and these groups are on the front lines of this battle.
It's like that old saying, if you want to go fast, go alone.
Yeah.
If you want to go far, go together.
Right.
We need to join forces and make it clear that we won't stand by while science is sidelined and our future is at risk.
Listening to all of this, it's hard not to think back to that whole, Sharpagate incident. I mean, it almost feels like a precursor to what we're seeing now, this blatant disregard for scientific expertise and a willingness to manipulate information for political gain.
It's chilling to think that might be the case.
Yeah.
And it raises a much broader concern about this, this erosion of trust in institutions,
Yeah.
when the public loses faith
Yeah.
in the very agencies that are responsible for providing accurate and unbiased information,
Right.
it becomes incredibly difficult to address complex challenges like climate change.
That's a really profound observation.
Yeah.
We live in a world where facts are increasingly contested,
Right.
and that makes it all the more important to defend the institutions that are, well, grounded in evidence
Right.
and dedicated to the pursuit of truth.
So where do we go from here? I mean, what are the potential next steps in this unfolding drama, and what should we, as concerned citizens, be watching for?
Well, I think one crucial development to keep an eye on is how Congress responds to all of this. Will they push back against the proposed cuts to NOAA? Will they defend the agency's mission? Or will they just, succumb to the political pressure? I think the answer to that question could have major implications for the future of, well, not just NOAA,
Right.
but, scientific research as a whole.
And what about the international community? If NOAA is hindered in its ability to, collaborate and share data,
Right.
will other countries step up to fill the void? Or will this create a global setback in our efforts to understand and address climate change?
Those are excellent questions, and unfortunately the answers remain to be seen.
Right.
But what's clear is that the stakes are incredibly high.
Right.
Global cooperation is essential for tackling challenges like, climate change and ocean health.
Right.
If the U.S., which has historically been a leader in these areas, retreats from its role,
Right.
it could have a ripple effect across the globe.
It's almost like we're at a crossroads, like a pivotal moment in history where the decisions we make today will have these profound consequences for generations to come.
I couldn't agree more. We're at a point where we need to decide what kind of future we want to create.
Right.
A future where science is valued and evidence guides our actions.
Right.
Or one where ideology trumps facts and short-term gains overshadow, long-term sustainability.
Yeah.
The choice is ours.
And it's a choice we need to make collectively.
Yes.
We can't afford to be passive observers in this, unfolding drama.
Right.
We need to be active participants, informed advocates, and unwavering defenders
Yeah.
of the institutions that, safeguard our well-being and the future of our planet.
Absolutely. We need to channel our concern into action, our outrage into engagement,
Yeah.
and our fear into hope.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, the future isn't something that just happens to us.
Right.
It's something we create together.
It's easy to get, caught up in all the political drama of it all. But at the end of the day, this is about real people's lives.
Yeah.
What does all of this mean for, the average person,
Yeah.
who just wants to know if it's going to rain tomorrow
Right.
or if they need to board up their windows,
Yeah.
for a hurricane?
Yeah, that's a really important question.
Yeah.
If NOAA is weakened, it could have, very real, very direct consequences for, our daily lives.
Right.
Less accurate forecasts could mean, we're caught off guard by severe weather.
Right.
Businesses could suffer, totally unexpected losses.
Yeah.
Lives could even be put at risk.
It's a sobering thought. And,
Yeah.
it's not even just about the immediate impacts.
Right.
What worries me is, that long-term erosion of trust.
Yeah.
If people start to doubt the reliability of weather forecasts or, the urgency of climate warnings,
Right.
it could make it even harder to prepare for and respond to, these challenges.
That's exactly right. It's like this slow drip of doubt kind of eroding the foundation of our collective understanding. We need to be able to trust the information that we're getting, especially when it comes to something as vital as the weather and, this changing climate.
Right. It feels like we're kind of teetering on the edge of a slippery slope here.
Yeah.
We've seen how fast misinformation can spread
Right.
and how easily people can dismiss facts,
Yeah.
that don't align with, their beliefs.
Yeah.
If we lose that shared understanding of reality, what happens then?
Well, then we risk falling into this world where ideology trumps evidence, where opinions carry more weight than facts.
Right.
And where progress on, those critical issues grinds to a halt. It's a bleak picture,
Yeah.
but one that we really need to be aware of.
Is there any hope? Can NOAA weather this storm, and continue its crucial work? Or are we doomed to this future of increasingly unreliable weather forecasts and a diminished understanding
Yeah.
of our planet's climate?
I think there's always hope. The human spirit is incredibly resilient. We've faced, these seemingly insurmountable challenges before.
Right.
What's important is that we don't succumb to despair or apathy. We need to channel our concern into action.
I like that. Channel concern into action.
Yeah.
So what does that actually look like in this case?
Yeah.
Give us something tangible, something we can, do right now to make a difference.
Well, I think first and foremost,
Yeah.
stay informed. Don't just, passively consume news.
Right.
Actively seek out information from, credible sources.
Okay.
Follow experts like, Rob Jones, who can break down these complex issues
Right.
in a way that's both informative and engaging.
Right.
Knowledge is power. And in this case, it's power against misinformation.
Arm yourself with the facts, understand, the nuances,
Right.
and don't be afraid to ask questions.
Absolutely.
What else?
Well, engage in those, constructive conversations,
Yeah.
Talk to your friends, your family, your colleagues.
Okay.
Share what you're learning. Listen to their perspectives.
Right.
And try to bridge those divides that often separate us. We need to, rebuild trust, not just in institutions, but in each other.
It's about having those, tough conversations, finding common ground,
Yeah.
and recognizing that, we're all in this together, right?
We are.
This isn't about scoring points or winning arguments.
Right.
This is about finding solutions.
Exactly. And finally, hold your elected officials accountable.
Okay.
Make your voice heard. Let them know that you support NOAA, that you value scientific integrity,
Right.
and that you oppose, efforts to weaken the very institutions
Right.
that protect our well-being and the future of our planet.
It's about being active citizens, engaged participants in the democratic process. It's about making sure our voices are heard, loud and clear.
Absolutely. The future isn't something that just happens to us. It's something we create together.
Well said. On that note, we come to the end of our deep dive into these, turbulent waters surrounding NOAA.
Yeah.
We've covered a lot of ground today,
Mhm.
from, the threats to data security and international collaboration
Right.
to the chilling effect on diversity and inclusion efforts.
Yeah. It's a complex and concerning situation.
It is.
But, as we've discussed,
Oh,
it's
sure.
not without hope.
Exactly. There are steps we can take,
Yeah.
actions we can all participate in to ensure that, that science prevails,
Right.
that evidence guides our decisions, and that the future we create is one that's safe and sustainable and informed by, the best available knowledge.
I'll leave you with this final thought. We've talked a lot about, the challenges facing NOAA.
Right.
But maybe, just maybe, this situation presents an opportunity.
Okay.
An opportunity to kind of reimagine the way we fund and support scientific research, to strengthen, those bonds of international collaboration, and to create a more resilient and equitable society that values, knowledge and expertise above all else. It's a challenging task,
It is.
but one worth striving for.
That's a powerful message to end on to our listeners out there. Thank you for joining us on this meteorological journey. Stay informed, stay engaged, and keep those umbrellas handy. Until next time, stay curious.